Hey friends, Rob Phoenix, Hexenmeister here. Hope you're all doing well. Just because I've been talking a lot about the Hexenmeister work lately, um, yeah, I just felt that it was a good idea to sort of give you guys an idea, an understanding of some of the best books that will help you along with your Hexenmeister work. So, in other words, I've collected six books that I think are the absolute essentials for Hexenmeister work. Um, well, five essential, and then one depends, and I'll get to that. So, as we know, a Hexenmeister is a powwower, meaning you've been trained and practicing as a powwower, who also has some understanding of modern witchery and ceremonial magic. And this helps you because your job as a Hexenmeister is to overcome the not overcome. Let me rephrase that. Um, you get people come to you say, I believe I've been cursed. I've been verhexed. And it's the job of a hexameister to undo that and then offer protection to the individual. Um, Whether that person deserved to be verhexed or not, that's not, it's what it is. If they come to you and they ask you to remove the verhexing, then that's our job. Obviously, we can say no if we choose, but generally, that's our job as a hexameister is to undo malevolent witchery and to offer protection to people. But also, as a hexameister, we can do work that is self-serving. We can do work on our own that kind of crosses over into sort of the dark side, if you will. Um, So it's we're a powwower that knows a lot more than the Lord's Prayer. Just put it that way. We're powwowers that are also not afraid to cross the line when we feel it's called, it's justified. So here are the six books, the five books you'll need, and the five books that, in my opinion, are the foundation of Hexenmeister work. Plus one book that is depending on certain things. So the first book is obviously The Long Lost Friend. Uh, the Long Lost Friend is the very first grimoire written in the United States. It's the oldest American grimoire. It's been in continuous print for 200 years and it holds up. Um, Now, again, when we're talking about books like this and we're talking about tradition like Powwow and Hexameister work, uh, people who aren't in the know would pick this up and be like, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit. What the hell am I supposed to do with this crap? This is like old-timey superstition. But it falls into that category of those who have eyes to see will see, those who have ears to hear will hear. So if you're in the know, then you'll know how useful this book is. So in your powwow work, it's essential. In your hexameister work, it's also essential because some of the hexameister stuff you're going to do comes from this book. Um, this I just happen to be very fortunate to have an older copy of it. I mean, I don't know why. For some reason, with the Long Lost Friend, it seems like the older copies carry some sort of I don't know, almost like a talismanic power, even though we shouldn't think that way. Um, but whether you buy an old copy or have an antique copy or a copy passed down through generations in your family, or you've just printed one from the internet for free, which it's out there, it doesn't matter. The Long Lost Friend is essential work. The second book, of course, is your Bible. And I didn't put this one as first because it's understood that this is your primary book in your occult work as a powwow slash hexenmeister, but you're going to need it, especially insofar as, like, let's look it up, like the Psalms, for instance. The Psalms are very useful in hexenmeister work. Now, I've said this before, but I write in my books. I have notes like even my Bible, 4 pages are so thin and like flimsy, but I still write. And I've written next to every psalm like what it can be used for, just as a quick sort of reference guide to myself. um, to protect against libel, to succeed in a lawsuit, recite daily, to be free of an evil spirit, to be safe from enemies. Like I have all this written in my Bible. So your Bible is like your ultimate foundational book of power in your powwowing and in your Hexenmeister work. So Long Lost Friend and your Bible. Those are the two most important. And you can be a successful powwower and Hexenmeister with just these two books, and you need nothing else. However, excuse me, there is an older book that, not older than the Bible, but an older book that is, I think, also essential for Hexenmeister work, and that is the sixth and seventh books of Moses. Now, this is the most recent Joseph Peterson translation. Came out in the early 2000s. It's a gorgeous book. But what you're going to use this book for is these. Let me just add a little rider here. To best appreciate the work in this book, you need to bone up on your Hebrew. I can't speak a single syllable of Hebrew, but I have all kinds of charts and such to help me translate Hebrew. Um, and I found that that's all you need. And if you can get a good chart, which I have, but I haven't really um, used it too much, but there you can get charts online for free of how to pronounce each of the letters in the Hebrew language. But this is a gorgeous book, but it has all the seals designed to do certain things. And that's really important. They're all in Hebrew. So you need to know what you're using. Then there's these beautiful colored pages of these circles that you can draw. And these can be drawn on the ground if you're artistically inclined, or on paper and carried about or buried, or whatever the instructions say, just follow them. There is instruction here for drawing a circle on the ground that you make these actual seals in. I definitely recommend you get the sixth and seventh books of Moses, and I definitely recommend the most recent Joseph Peterson copy. Let's see, 2000, like 10 maybe it was. I can't remember. Um, 2008 from Ibis. It had a different jacket on it, like a cover on it, but I always rip those off and throw them away when I get books. I know book lovers everywhere are in the horrors when they talk to me because I write in my books. Like I've been known to tear pages out. I get rid of the covers because my books to me are tools to be used, and I abuse them for things. The other one is the Keys of Solomon. There's all kinds of versions of the Keys of Solomon. This one, the reason why you really want this one, um, they have some ceremonial magic stuff in here, but I bypass that in favor of different ceremonial magic stuff, which we'll get to soon, in favor of pentacles. So these pentacles you'll be using a lot as a Hexenmeister. Um, and this book is very good because it tells you what each one is. Again, your Hebrew is going to come in handy because it's all Hebrew. I'm sorry about the glare. I still haven't mastered lighting. I've been doing these videos for, I don't know, 15 years, and I still don't know how to do lighting. But anyway, there's Hebrew and such, and all the God names and such. So you'll want to bone up on your Hebrew or just get charts so you don't have to memorize anything. That's what I do. Um, yeah, like my copy is very nice and explains all the pentacles and what they mean, how to use them and such. So you'll be doing those for your clients. And these are going along with the quote unquote sorcery stuff that I've been learning, which is really just more like imagination stuff, where I'm imagining those pentacles in the air. I'm having trouble drawing them because I'm getting surgery on this hand in a couple days, and then in a few weeks I'll be getting surgery on this hand. So my hands will be useless for the entire spring and summer. But after that, hopefully they'll be okay that I can start drawing again. But yeah, so let's just recap. You want Long Lost Friend, the Holy Bible. Now, my copy is not the Orthodox Bible. It doesn't have all those non-canonical books in it, but I like those books, so I have those in another source. Um, Truly, whichever one is up to you. Um, I like the New International Version because I speak English and not some flowery silliness. Six and Seven Books of Moses. He's a Solomon, which brings me to book number five, and this is a very new book. It's only 2 or 3 years old. Um, but somebody on YouTube recommended it to me. And as soon as I read through it, I was amazed. I can't believe that somebody didn't write this book earlier. It's called Anathema Maranatha. And you can see I really like marked the heck out of this book. Of course, I have writing all through it. There goes a pen that was just shoved in the pages. If you wish to be a Hexenmeister or carry on the work of the European English cunning man, Anathema Maranatha, get it. It's worth it. This, honestly, this book could be your whole practice too, if you wanted it to be. But now I consider it to be essential for the practice of a Hexenmeister. So there we go with that. And then finally, this is the book that depends. If you've had, which in order to be a Hexenmeister, I think it's not a requirement, but I think it's extremely helpful if you've also had training in a traditional witchcraft tradition. I don't know. I don't want to say the word tradition too many times, but a witchcraft tradition, like a proper one, old school. And because there you're going to learn all the mechanics of like circle casting and quarter calls and all those things that they're conjuring and summoning and stirring and calling forth when they do their ritualistic ceremonies. And also like when they do their stuff, then you won't need this book. But if you have not had that, then I recommend this. This book is a monster. It's it's a monstrous book. It's largely the Kabbalah, which I do not adhere to the Kabbalah. I don't study it. I don't practice it. I know very little about it, and I'm okay. But there is a lot about Hebrew in here, and then it's all about ceremonial magic. So it gets into the mechanics of the magic circle, the best ways to draw the magic circle, the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and this knowledge that I've just said is foundational to the work of a Hexenmeister, because as a Hexenmeister, you're going to be doing a lot of work in a ritual circle. My Blair, my dogs are up here with me. Um, So if you've not had that proper training with the mechanics of circle casting and the watchtowers and the quarters and the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, the true lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, if you've not had that, then please get this book. Um, take out of it what you will. There's a lot in here. I mean, this book is a monster. It is that it could become your whole life if you want to just be a ceremonial magician. But this is one of the books where you take out what works for you and or take all of it. But I got this book thinking that I needed to learn a little bit more about the mechanics of ceremonial ritual. But I was given really actually a very good education in that back in my traditional witchcraft days. But still, there's always something to be learned. This is an amazing book. I love it. I will continue to recommend it to people, even though I haven't worked through all. It's a huge process. It's basically like a workbook from beginning to end. Um, so this is the It Depends book. All right. So just a quick recap. We said that the long lost friend, obviously, Holy Bible goes without saying. Six and seven books of Moses, the keys of Solomon for the sorry, for the Pentacles, Anathema Maranatha. And let me just talk a little bit about this book. So this book is all about like the diabolical things that Christians can do magically. and the history of magic within Christianity, within the church, within the clergy, and how all of that eventually worked its way into what became known as the cunning men and women in Europe, in England, and then eventually led to us Hexenmeisters here in Pennsylvania. So great book written. It's very reader friendly. It's not like super academic or boring. It's not dry. It's very interesting. And there are like all these tab things are curses to curses and ways to send stuff back on people. And that's the work of a Hexenmeister. You're not just like willy-nilly cursing people, although you can if you want to. Great book, but you have to be a Christian. This is Christian. Well, let's see. Anathema Maranatha, Christianity and the Imprecatory Arts. It's not for the faint of heart. If you're one of them like weak Christians, don't get this book. But if you're a Christian practitioner of magic like I am, then this is a book for us. And then finally, the It Depends book, The Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. Uh, Obviously, I have hundreds and hundreds of books, and I've learned something from all the ones that I've read. Even if the lesson I learned was you don't need this book. I mean, there we go. But those are the greatest books that I can think of for the Hexenmeister practice. So, and then you need a space. You need a place to do it. Like I have my Sanctum Sanctorum here. Bill and Josani. Bill never comes in here. Josani sometimes comes in and we'll read together, but he doesn't stay long. But I have all my ritual implements in here. I have all my powwow stuff in here. I have um, all kinds of magic awards and such in this room. I love this room. I pretty much end every day in this room. And there are many, many, many nights that I sleep in here on the floor, especially if I'm doing some sort of like work where I need to meditate or be in a magic circle or something. It's right here on the floor. Um, so if you have a space like this, and I also have an outdoor ritual circle, which I shared a picture of the other day because it's just rock um, that I mulched inside. It's only like 6 by 6 across. So that'll look a lot nicer as the spring brings our property to life. So a place to do your work is required. Obviously, you have to have somewhere to go. And then the thing about the Hexenmeister work is that you don't do that with your client present. So unlike Powwow, where you just do the healing and such, when you do that, when you go up the next level to the Hexenmeister work, that's done. That's between you and God or whoever you're calling. Sometimes Hexenmeister work requires that we speak to the devil. Also angels and whatever else we're working with. It's up to you how far you take that though. So don't get discouraged. Don't get afraid. Um, there you go. So I just said a lot. I just threw a lot at you, but that's really the crux of Hexenmeister work is those books that I mentioned. And I hope that was helpful. I hope it was interesting and you learned something. And that's it. God bless you guys. Love you. And we'll talk again soon.